Well, hello everyone. Welcome back to Scott's Retro Tech Workshop. Today we've got the TRS-80 Model 1. And one of the things most people know about the Model 1 is no sound. But you say, well, I've heard it does have sound. Well, it does have sound. Some of the game writers figured out a way to make sound come through the cassette port on the back. And what you need to do is connect a cable, and you have to create a cable with a 5-pin DIN and some sort of audio connector on the other end, and you have to go to an amplifier. Now, traditionally back in the 80s, what people would do in the late 70s is they would go down to Radio Shack and get one of these little battery powered amplifiers and plug that in to the audio end, and they would have sound. Today, those don't exist. You could spend a bunch of money and you could buy like an amplified speaker of some sort, but you'll have to provide power to it. So you'll have, the wall wart for the computer, the wall wart for a monitor, and probably if you have the expansion interface, wall wart for that. Or plug them all in together inside the expansion interface, but I don't have an expansion interface. And what if, and this works fine if you have a LCD monitor that has composite input and an audio input, which is what I use. But let's say you have one of these, the original monitor, or one of these, like some sort of security monitor. They don't have sound inside. They don't have audio. So what I've found, or what I've come up with, is a little way to add audio internal to the box, into the system, and give you audio that's powered by the computer internally. It is removable, so it's not like 100% permanent installation, and it's just going to require you drill one sort of inconspicuous hole to mount the volume control for the sound system. So let me get the cover off and we'll show you how this works. First thing we did is, well, let me show you what we need first. First thing, and I'll have a link to all this stuff on Amazon. It all came through Amazon. So the first thing you're going to need is one of these little amplifiers, and they're run on 5 volts. They've got a volume control with a power switch, and then you've got power input, which I've got here on the black and white, left and right audio input, but since there's no stereo, I just connected the left and the right positive together. The green is the common ground out. And then on this side, these come without these headers. I put the headers on because of the little jumper wire I was using to connect to a speaker. You'll see that in a minute. It'll just come with solder pads, which is just like how I connected in the wire here. This is the output. There's left and right, positive and negative. Okay, you're only going to need one speaker. If you want to hook up 2 speakers, go ahead. It's going to be mono, but I just connected one. And then you need, 8 inches or so of ribbon cable or some kind of thin cable. And then the way you're going to make this so it's not totally 100% permanent, and so you don't have to solder to the board, is you're going to put on these clips on the ends. So you got red and black for power and green and blue for the input from the cassette port on the motherboard. And I'll show you where to connect that now. What you're going to do is turn your board over upside up. And you're going to do when the thing is sitting in the case, of course, it's upside down. So it's going to be basically mounted about like like this. Okay, and there's plenty of space, and you'll see why in a second if you haven't figured it out already. What you're going to do is you're going to take your power leads and you're going to connect them over here, which is where Radio Shack in the tech guide tells you to adjust. When you adjust the 5 volts, it tells you to put the leads here. So what you're going to do is on the right hand side of, I believe this is R4, it's the big power resistor, you're going to clip on your 5 volts. And actually what I do is I go under, just so it lays flat. And then for the ground is the big capacitor here. Just follow it to the minus side, clip it right on there. Oop. Okay. Now for the signal, you need a ground and you need the audio positive from the cassette port, which is on this side over here, because of course we're upside down. So where I've traced back through the schematic and with use of a multi-tester is you want to connect the positive for the input to R53, which is, let's see, right down in here. It's 52, 53, 54, 55, 56. You're going to connect it to the outboard side of R53. So to the edge, the side closest to the edge. And make sure you get it under and it gets like a good connection. There you go. And then for the other side, all you need to really find is a ground. And for that, I picked this resistor right here next to the cassette relay. I want to say it's R21. No, the R21 is the potentiometer. Can't really see what it says it is. There's a 7 next to it. Whatever. It's right in here to the right of that resistor. You can pick up any, actually for that you could pick up any ground, and I suppose you could even connect it to the regular power ground up here. Just run the 2 wires together. I'm sure that would work just as well, but I'm just trying to keep everything on one side of the board. And you want to try to get these to lay down as flat as possible, if you can. You know, rotate them around or however you want to do it, so that when you put them back in the case, they kind of lay flat. Now, the one mod you have to do to the case, you have to put a 1/4 inch hole, and you're going to put it down here, which is in like the stand. So this area is hollowed out under the DIN connectors, and there's just enough space to mount this in here, and it won't touch the bottom of the circuit board, the top of the circuit board. You need a 1/4 inch hole. It's about a 1/4, maybe 3/8 away from the edge, and you can see it's right here in the back. So it's going to come out like right under the power connector. So it's kind of out of the way. If you ever wanted to remove it, you just undo those clips, unscrew the nut that holds this potentiometer into the socket, and you'll be able to remove it. And you'll just have this hole. You could either get a plug and plug it up, put a rubber grommet over it, or a little rubber foot. No, you know. And then the best part is it's all self-contained. You don't have outside wires or anything. Now the last piece of the puzzle is a speaker. So let me mount this amplifier board, and then we'll mount the I'll show you how to mount the speaker. Okay, folks, here we are with the board mounted in the hole that sits down in here where this is the, the kickstand, basically, for another word. And then you can see it fits perfectly. It fits flush. Just make sure you give enough space to the right and from the right and to the top to get this so that it mounts. It'll mount on a little bit of an angle because this is angled, but there's still a lot of space under here. I mean, you have all the way up to the bottom of this. I did make one change at the last second, that I moved the ground for the input, for the audio input, from the resistor here next to the relay up to the outbound side, or the negative side of this capacitor that's right behind the video output. It's just easier to get to. It lays nice and flat, and then this will lay flat over here when you put it in, and everything will fit nice. The positive and negative are still up here for the power. Okay, so you can see we got plenty of room. You can take the board out, whatever you want to do. Of course, you could remove the clips before you take the board out. I would recommend that if you're going to do any kind of modifications or any kind of other internal stuff. So the last thing you're going to need, or one of the last things you're going to need, is a little speaker. And we have these little piezo speakers. They're 8 ohms, 2 watts. They come with like a little red and black little set of wires on them. Just desolder them and get a longer piece of wire. And where I'm mounting them is right here behind the standoff for the motherboard. There's plenty of space right there. You can put it right there. It'll be out of the way. It won't interfere with any heat flow or anything. There's still plenty of open space. And you're going to connect it either to the right side or the left side. It doesn't matter which one. Ground and the positive. And the way I'm mounting it in this thing is with just a zip tie. And all you got to do is run a zip tie down one side here, kind of like loop it under. Just to catch the cable. Now you could glue it, use a little hot glue, but that makes it more permanent. This, if you want to remove this whole thing, you just undo the zip tie. Just kind of position it over the grate. Clip off the extra. It's not going anywhere. It'll stay there. And then you're going to plug in your cord, positive, negative. If you want 2 speakers, if you think you need 2 speakers, or you get a bigger speaker, as long as it's 8 ohms, a couple of watts, whatever. Just remember the clearance. You know, you've got a little clearance to play here because the board is going to sit up here on this neck. So you've got all that space minus whatever other components are sticking down. Right about in this area, I would say maybe the power transistor, or the big capacitors are sitting like right in here. Power switch is like right over in here. So, you don't have a ton of space, but it's enough space, especially for one of these little like piezo type speakers, and they sound pretty good. I mean, you're just getting like beeps and boops anyway. You're not getting like full, stereophonic audio out of this thing, but it's just enough so that when you're playing the games or there's some kind of prompt or whatever, you got the sound, and you don't have to run an audio cord, and you can use a monitor like the original monitor that has no audio input. And you don't have to buy a separate little amplifier box and power that whenever you want sound. You're going to get power right from the main circuit board. It's going through the amp. It has volume control and a power switch. So if you still want to use your cassette deck to save and load, You can. You can either use this so you can monitor the sound, or you can just turn the amplifier off and use your cassette deck as normal. Okay, we'll put all this back together and we will get it over to the other bench, connect it to the monitor, and run some software so you can hear what it sounds like. Okay, here we are back over at the computer table. Here is my flat screen monitor. We've got the power cord for the computer. We get the video out, no audio out, don't need it anymore. And here's my ribbon cable that goes to my Fred. So here's what the finished product looks like, sticking out right here. I just need to tighten this up a little bit, but you can see you can reach over the back, click, click, turn it on and off, volume to that way, and you want to finish it off with a nice knob. I've got all the I'll have all the links to this stuff on Amazon. It just pushes on, it grips the splines. It sticks out flush with the back edge. So if you want to adjust the volume, you just reach over the top and click, click. You can turn it on and off. Let's get this hooked up. We'll see how it works. Always remember, power is to the one next to the power plug, so you don't burn out your video input or cassette input. There we go. Reach on the back, make sure she's turned on. There we go. There we go, built-in sound. Don't have to have a monitor. You can have a CRT, security monitor, the original Tandy TRS-80 monitor, an old Apple II monitor. I've got a green screen Zenith Data Systems monitor that you would have connected to your Apple II back in the day. It works. Like I said, all the links will be in the back, on the bottom of the screen here, and on the description. And it's removable. Like I said, the only thing you would have left is a hole. You don't have to solder to the circuit board. You don't have to make any kind of permanent mods out the side for the volume control or anything that's noticeable. If you looked at this right now, you wouldn't even know that it was in there. The only thing you would know, if you turned it around, you'd see that knob out the back, and it's down along the bottom. It's right under the power switch. So easy to reach, and you can adjust the volume however you want. It's great. So if you like this, click like, subscribe to the channel, let other people know about it. And like I said, I'll put that links to the items at Amazon. You'll need some connecting wire, and you got to have a little soldering skill. There you go. So join me next time when I'll have something else on the RetroTech Workshop. Thanks.